Hey everybody, it's Arden 13. Who remembers these, the city and dungeon tiles from the 2015-2016 era of D&D 5th edition that came out? These are all really cool. They've always been really interesting to me, but I've always not used them. Current trajectory with my tabletop gaming, whether that is TTRPGs or wargaming, these just aren't going to cut it anymore. So these are probably going to remain in the dark and dusty drawer that they live in, and probably only get pulled out when I am absolutely desperate, or, you know, maybe I want to brainstorm some ideas for some different layouts for different terrain boards that I want to build, which is kind of a beautiful segue to what I want to do today. I want to create myself a play space, a sizable tile that I can set my terrain on beforehand when it comes to hosting a game, and then when it comes time to do the grand reveal and run the encounter or what have you, I can bring it out and place it down in the middle of the table. Or it can act as a wonderful centerpiece and ambiance piece for my tables when we get into the thick of all of the games that we're trying to run, whether it is TTRPGs or war games moving forward. So please join me on this quick little hobby vlog as I turn a very simple and plain sheet of 3/4 inch foam and turn it into a urban play space for tabletop games. The first step in any hobby journey is going to be setting up the space upon which I am going to work. Here on my dining room table, I don't want to get all of the paint and glue and other detritus that can be kicked up during the hobbying onto my nice dining room table. I've already messed it up a number of times, so putting down a sheet and then securing said sheet with just the things that I'm going to be working with. Big bottle of PVA glue, and then 2 buckets full of the cut bricks out of XPS extruded polystyrene. Next is going to be mixing up the glue solution that I'm going to be using, and this is actually taken directly from Eric's Hobby Workshop, this recipe. It's just PVA glue, a little bit of dish soap, and then water, which I mix in slowly and carefully. Mixing this in slower batches, I think, yielded the best results till I got my nice soupy consistency of the PVA glue. And you really want to do this just to make sure that you are getting the most out of your materials, because if I just used straight PVA glue, I would run out of PVA glue so quickly. I know that that's like 2 liters worth of PVA glue that I have standing by, but you can run through that if you're not careful. And then it's just a matter of setting bricks. This is the majority of the work. I would say not necessarily the worst part of the work, but it is the most tedious and it is the most time consuming. And it's just a careful process and somewhat therapeutic process to put down row after row of bricks. Flagstones, I suppose I should be referring to them, rather than bricks. Yeah, this process was relatively straightforward. I found that the best way to do this was the brush that I'm using makes enough, or puts down enough glue to do like sections of like 9 tiles at a time. So it started out as that, and then as I got a little bit more confident, I started putting down longer streaks of it. I would say the hardest thing and the thing to be most careful about here is the spacing between the tiles, because otherwise you will have to cut some special tiles into special shapes and sizes. And after a good amount of time, it came to its final conclusion. And the next part is texturing. You can do this beforehand. I tried my best, but I definitely wanted to go back over it once I had all the tiles down. And this is done very simply with a brick and a ball of aluminum foil. Everybody else does that. And then after that was taken care of, I went in with a first coat of Mod Podge mixed with black house paint and thinned down with some water, as well as some dish soap. That dish soap just made everything flow just a touch bit better, and I really, really liked the way that that worked out. So I'll be doing that from now on. So, decision time. Do I do another coat of black and Mod Podge, or do I just press forward with the colors? I think it's another coat of Mod Podge. I think it's another coat of Mod Podge. So that's what I'm going to do.
So his second coat of Mod Podge, it was.
Yes. This looks and feels a lot better. Ooh. Some overhanging bricks on this side. I'll take care of that real quick. Okay, so the next step that I want to observe is I want to add some undertone colors before I start hitting this with a bunch of gray. So I have a brown, I have a green, I have a yellow, and I have another yellow-ish color. And, well, that's gray, so definitely don't want to use that yet. Black, black, white. Okay, so these are the 3 to 4-ish colors. There's a slight variation that I'm going to use, and I'm going to spatter around. I might find a blue. I think I'm going to go grab a blue, and then that should do me well. So it's going to be splotchy is the initial idea, and this is probably only going to take 1 coat. I have 2 shitty brushes that I should just be able to just kind of have a play with. But let's get stuck in.
This technique comes to me as a modification of the leopard spotting technique. Obviously, looking at the footage here, I'm not an expert in this, but it's, in a way, my emulation of trying to get those extra tones and hues underneath the grays, since stone is not all just gray.
Okay, so I have this to a spot where I think this is going to be serviceable. I'm thinking that with a couple of different grays over top, that'll just bring things together, and then eventually I will hit this with a black wash, and that will kind of pull everything together, and it'll look quite nice.
So we started in with the gray coats, first with a dark gray that I made using the mid-tone gray and mixing that with black paint, and then we went in with the just base mid-tone gray, and then over with a lighter gray made with the mid-tone gray and a white paint, all stippled in.
The colors and the hues are coming in really, there's like the nice subtle undertones that we created earlier, and the different variations in the grays is coming through, but the lighter gray is definitely a little starker over here. I could probably push it a little bit over here, it looks like. I think I want to black wash this, see where that lands us, and then come back with any more undertones, variations therein. So I need to make a black wash. So let's do that.
This is my first time making a black wash, and I'm just using the black paint and paint water that I have on hand. I don't have any inks or anything like that. And so my recommendation and takeaway from this experience is going to be, if you're making this at home, be sure to water this down more than you think. You really want to break up and make sure that that paint becomes translucent so you can see all of the work and the textures that you've done underneath. And if you don't do that, it will be way too dark.
Oh, we're gonna pray. We're gonna pray, we're gonna pray. We are gonna pray. Okay. Overall, this is a little too dark than what I was intending. So I need to go over it with the mid-tone gray and then maybe the lighter gray again to kind of bring those those tones back. But the weird and funny thing is I can still tell with my eyes, I can still find like not only like the mid-tone and the lighter gray underneath the black, but I can also find like a couple of points of yellow. There's some green and some blues here. So like the undertones are kind of showing through in their own way, which is like exciting in the sense of like, hey, I didn't completely mess this up. But at the same time, the call right now is definitely I need to go back over this with some of the mid-tone gray and possibly some of the lighter gray just to bring those values back up into this. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to ignore the fact that I forgot my headphones at work. Hi, Tai Long. So I'm just going to have that going in the background, but you won't hear that. This is all going to be sped up anyways. Hi, Bubby. I'm going to paint now, so I need you to kind of get off. Is that okay? Yep, that is paint. Okay, I'm gonna get painting.
So back to gray we go, and this time I skipped the dark gray because basically the dark gray was already there with the washed fiasco. So I just went in with a mid-tone gray and then started in with a light gray again. And with the light gray pass this time, I decided to employ a circular dry brushing motion because I had kind of been not too excited about the straight cut brush stippling that I had done. So I wanted to break up that with the rounded motion of the dry brushing. Okay. Mid-tone is back, light tone is back. I think time to let this dry for a little bit and then hit this with the black wash again. And then that should be it. I feel like that should really be it. Maybe I need to bring back some lighter grays to once the black wash goes down, but I think for right now I need to step away. Let this dry fully, and then come back, and then we'll finish this up. All right. Oh, that's, yes. I can see everything underneath it. Already so much better. The second time applying the wash, I felt a lot more confident because already I could see it more transparent than the first time round. So it filled me with more confidence, but that did not stop me from adding more water just to ensure that it was as translucent as I needed it to be. Okay. That is it for the black wash part 2. I'm gonna be a little nervous until this is dry and done and I see how it looks. This does look good. I love the detail and the texture that's built in here. I could futz with this forever. We could always futz with something forever until we get it to, exactly how we want it. But I think for my own sanity, this is what I was going for. Put a black border around this, and we'll call this done. We'll call this done. This is everything that I wanted and more. Oh, this is so cool. It's, by itself, it looks great. I'm happy with it. This is exactly what I wanted. But with the terrain and the models on it, oh my god, guys. This is so cool. Oh yeah, this is definitely an elevation in the tabletop gaming experience. Kicking myself that it took me this long to get into this. This just makes me want to build and paint more minis and get ready for something. Just something. Oh my god. This is so great. Ah!
I could spend so much time gushing about how excited I am and how good this looks and all the things that this inspires and motivates me to do. But before I take up too much more of your time, I should say thank you for hanging out with me today. This is the part of the video where I ask you to interact with all the buttons downstairs that everyone else bugs you about. We greatly appreciate it here at the lunch table, and I think that's about it, and I should really get out of here. Thank you so much again. This is so awesome. I've been Arden13. I am still waiting on that ramen. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.